Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Gretta, and Yvonne is back with us this podcast. Hello, yay! We are happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. We want these conversations to help you examine your life and your creation of reality. They will help you to shift your impressions and understand what you're creating in your life and how it shows up. If you happen to find them valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. That can help us get to more people. So we would appreciate if you could do that for us. Ladies, welcome. That's you, ladies.
I know. You're asking us to wake up.
It's one of those days.
Okay, well, let's dive right into the quotation that we will be discussing today. That is, we are one with each other. Therefore, let us abandon the desire to hurt each other and let us follow the path of harmony of the light. Before we started the podcast today, we were just having a little offline discussion amongst ourselves. And, I guess we can start off there. When I read this, I said, ooh, harmony of the light. I mean, for me, that sort of brings up a little science in my head, right? Because those frequencies of light have to have some kind of harmonics together, right? That's how we get the different spectrums and the different bands and the, colors that we can see, 7 basics, I guess, and then the rest. So when I think of harmony of the light, that's kind of where my head goes. How would we like to pick this apart today? Where do we start?
I think to start with the word light, because those that can't see the quote, the word light has a capital L to it. And there's a reason for that, because the light in this quote is representative of the force. So it's harmony of the force. But however, see, now this is where it gets really interesting.
Of course it does.
Because everything is the force. Everything.
And the disharmony, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, but what it was stressing here is that, and that's what we were talking about before we came on, we started the program, is what is harmony, and I think I'm gonna request that Yvonne, she's into the gene keys, and there's an interesting point of view given by the gene keys on harmony, and then I'd like to come after that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Yvonne. and
Here
the
we
gene
go.
keys.
So, yeah, the gene keys, for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with the gene keys, it's a transmission that has been downloaded by Richard Rudd. He's an author, a poet, and a mystic, and he has combined several streams of consciousness and kind of synthesized codes. They're just codes of consciousness. If you want to explore more, go right ahead. But basically, there's 64 of 64 codes that relate to the codons in your DNA, the I Ching. So these codes, basically, the day, the place, the moment you are born, you're imprinted with certain energy based on the sun and the moon and the planets. And so today we are actually transiting gene key 50, which is the highest expression of that is harmony. The lowest expression, because they're all on a band of frequency, is corruption. And the gift that sits right in the middle is equilibrium. So the idea is that when we face our shadows and become truly conscious of that shadow nature, which means accepting all of it, loving all pieces of that shadow that we're imprinted with, in this case, corruption, which is kind of on the other side of harmony, we flower and we open up the gifts into our most creative self, which in this case is a balance, it's equilibrium. And then every now and then we step into the light, with capital L here, of harmony. So I think it's interesting that we just chose this without even recognizing that it's the energy that's out there, harmony. And when I look at the quote, let us abandon, there's just so much in this quote. Let us abandon the desire to hurt each other. And sometimes we're in this state of corruption and conflict that all we can think of is just, I can't take responsibility for whatever this pain is that's inside of me. I might as well just project it on the other person and take it out on them, which actually doesn't do you any good, and it hurts them as well. So in order to overcome those shadows in all of us that we all have, I think just focus more on what we want to have in our life versus what we don't want. And this is where that quote comes in. Let us abandon the desire to hurt each other, and let us follow the path of harmony of the light. So yeah, here we go. Diving in deep. Corruption.
Because where I think, what we were talking about were the gene keys. And for those of you who are oriented toward that, that would be great for you to explore that. Because we believe everything works for good. Everything. We don't care what the belief system is. It's benefiting you in some way. Okay. So harmony, you can be in harmony with anything. That's the thing. Most people will think that harmony is, oh, it's great. Like Leigh was saying, when she thought of the word, and she said it on the podcast this morning, like it's a great thing, harmony. I tell people, be careful about that. Define what type of harmony you want. That's why it's defined in this quote as harmony of the light, because most people think that the light is, clarity, clearness. I can see, I understand, I've evolved my consciousness. It can mean that as well. But the harmony part is that, let me preface this by saying that the force is everything. So the force does not divide things into being evil or good or bad or whatever. It has no It has no attachment to judgment. So, but in this case, the quote is offering a sense of judgment in order for people to understand it, because people are at basically a judgment stage. This is a good thing. This is not a good thing. So harmony, if you're, and this is what I was saying before the program, you can have an argument with somebody. In that argument, when the person is arguing with you and you are arguing with them, that's harmony. You're in harmony. And I think Yvonne said, well, that's conflict. And I said, yes, that's another form of harmony. Because you can be in a conflictual situation, and both of you or many of you are involved in that. When you're involved in that, you are in harmony. But that's not necessarily the harmony that you want. You want a harmony. Most of us want a harmony of peace, even though we can consciously say we want a harmony of peace, but at the unconscious level, we can look around ourselves and see chaos that we are, creating around ourselves. So that's harmony. I feel that harmony is something that you have to think about before you just say there's harmony here. Think about it, because you can be in harmony with anybody doing anything.
Yeah, I think that further supports our teaching of create, support, create, because, if you are effectively in harmony with somebody where you're creating an argument or a disagreement and chaotic situation, both, if there's two people involved, just two individuals, both have to somehow step in and agree that that's what they want, whether it might be, like you said, conscious or unconscious. They both show up there. One is supporting the other, one is agreeing to be there. So I guess that takes it to the next level, like really, really focus on, like, if you want harmony of peace and the harmony of the light, take a pause before you do have these interactions with people and ensure that if you want peace, that's what you manifest, that's what you create in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And then the other part of this quote, we are one with each other. Well, everybody, our listeners know that that's one thing that we talk about all the time. We talk about love of self and oneness with everything. And I touched on it a little bit, and I want to touch on the oneness again with it. But after this other part, after we discuss this other part of the quote, therefore, let us abandon the desire to hurt each other. Okay. That's because we perceive that we can hurt somebody. A gentleman I was facilitating for this morning used the word hurt. He said to hurting his family or hurting some. I said, you didn't do that. You can't hurt anybody. That's absolutely impossible. It's impossible because you create your own reality. So what does hurting somebody do? After you feel that you hurt somebody, what's your next step? You feel sad that you did it. If you're really in a quote unquote forgiveness stage, then you're going to feel sad about it. Then you can extend the sadness. You're going to have guilt about it, and you just carry it deeper and deeper down into the rabbit hole with Alice, until you're not only sitting down there with Alice sipping tea, but you've got the rabbit and the Mad Hatter with you to boot. So it's just a way of carrying yourself in we can call it a downward spiral, just for a lack of being able to say something else. So just know one thing: you cannot hurt anybody. You cannot hurt anybody, ever. So for those of you who are feeling guilty about you hurt your husband, or you hurt your daughter's feelings, or you hurt somebody else, forget it. Because the other person created that reality. And the only thing you did was support that person in that reality. That was it. Someone I'm real close to said to me, "You hurt my family members." Told me that. I looked, so the only person that felt hurt was him. Okay? That's the first thing I realized. And I point blank just flowed right out of my mouth. I said, "No, I didn't. I can't hurt your family member. That's impossible." And I left it like that because I know that that individual does not understand anything about creation of reality. But when you understand creation of reality, you know you can't hurt a soul. I don't care what it is. You cannot hurt a soul, ever.
Would you effectively say that if that person is hurting, that they're hurting themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they're
Because,
deciding to be hurt, and
yes,
they're just projecting that and trying to find somebody out there to take responsibility for that.
yes, yes. But
Mhm.
that's within themselves. See, that's why we look outside
Mhm.
in a constant, we have to learn. Just like when we were in kindergarten, we learned how to write the capital B, or we learned how to write a symbol in the language that we speak, because all of us do not speak English. But we had to learn those characters. We had to practice writing those characters. Like if I wanted to learn how to write Mandarin Chinese, I'm going to have to learn how to make the strokes. You see, so we learn how to love ourselves and to realize that it is absolutely totally impossible to hurt somebody. So don't feel guilty about it. See, that person is trying to project that on you. Don't accept it.
Yeah, it feels very liberating, the idea of not taking somebody else's pain or responsibility for that. And
Absolutely, absolutely. So then it says, therefore, let us abandon the desire to hurt each other. Yes, we're going to abandon it because it's impossible for us to do it in the first place.
Wait. Before you skip,
Uh-oh, here she
here
comes.
she was winding up there. She was
I mean, I think we just, this conversation was really huge. And I don't want to gloss over it because, even and I'm sure we've probably touched on this in other podcasts, but, to not, that's a very interesting, maybe we may need to take just one step back to not be able to hurt someone. I mean, that is such a thing that flies in our, in our relationships, whether they be love relationships or friend relationships or familial things, right? So I just want to like slow it down a tiny bit, or maybe just reiterate it in another way. So in the creation of reality perspective, let's say if the person who's saying you hurt me, we could potentially be supporting that feeling that's within them by telling words to them that they could perceive are unfriendly of in some manner, right? So then they could say, oh, but you said XYZ and it hurts me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a supporting thing, but initially that energy is in the person and we support by saying, acting, whatever, doing
Absolutely.
some kind of dance with that person. So that's good. And abandon the desire to hurt each other. I think that desire word is important too,
Mm-hmm.
because desire, is that like we all have mean streaks?
Some of us do. Some of us do, we're laughing, but there are some people that like to seek revenge.
Right.
You know, they sometimes you seek revenge from a psychological perspective. Sometimes you seek it by way of being physically abusive, verbally abusive, or you're attacking that person in some way. They have that revengeful part of themselves that they want to do.
But see, like, this is where I sometimes get turned around in, like, desire for revenge or desire to hurt. So if that revenge energy is coursing through your being, does that mean you would be creating situations so you can have an outlet for that energy, right? Like, you have this bubbling in you, and so someone wrongs you or betrays you or this kind of thing. So if you're working in that field of revenge, desire to hurt, that's what you create externally.
Showing
people
you
who support you will
Mhm.
manifest, or you will create them.
That's because that's how you feel about yourself. You want to be heard. You don't love yourself.
Okay,
That's why loving self is very important, because when you love yourself, those things aren't going to come to you. If they come to you in any way, shape, or form like that, then note you don't love you. But what we do is we look at the other person,
right,
and we want to respond and say, "You hurt me." Okay, they're going in a direction that supports them to continue to be hurt.
right,
Okay, so what if you don't want to be hurt, you got to go deep. You got to go in the opposite direction, and the opposite direction is going to be deep in you, and to examine and say, why did I create that person to say that to me?
I mean, I don't think we can emphasize that point enough. And, maybe we should start bringing it up every pod, or we probably do, but, when something is happening externally that you disagree with, or,
Mhm.
makes you uncomfortable, what is in me that's creating this? Like, what's my self-love? My self-love meter tells me I am running on empty.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I love the way you put that, running on empty.
And if, you're creating wonderful things in your external environment, well, you know what? My self-love must be getting pretty well near full, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because anytime anybody says something to you that's calling you outside of your name, referring to you in nasty ways, don't get excited. Just go back to you and say, okay, I'm not loving myself. And then start saying, oh, just simple line, I love myself. I love myself. You can say that in your mind. And then it's going to chill the whole situation. You don't have to say, well, look what you did. You did this, da-da-da to me. You don't even have to go in there. Because all that's going to do is just support that experience. And if you don't want that experience, then back off of it by saying, and you back off it by saying you love yourself. Then the person has to stop. They can't continue. That's what people don't understand. You see, when you cut the energy, by way of loving you, not loving the other person,
Loving you.
you. That's when you cut it.
Right. That's a huge shift too. I mean, like, I think that goes against everything that they told us Jesus was saying, right? Like, love thy neighbor or whatever. I guess that was somehow probably twisted in all these like church reiterations of what he was really trying to say. But when you were talking, I was just thinking about, it's so like this message, we sort of have to get it out to the little ones. It's so important. When you were talking, all I just had like a flash to, you know, something in my childhood. I used to hate my name because the kids used to say Leigh P. It rhymes.
Oh my God.
And but I mean, that's like a direct, that happened because I didn't think that I was worthy, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because or else they wouldn't have said those things. But I was just, and I don't, I mean, that was probably the worst of the bullying. But, I was just thinking about kids that, do actually get bullied, right? Or like beaten up or really made fun of. And if you look at it from a creation of reality point of view, those are the kids with like the least value of self.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and if it could be something to like transform that, that anger into like, oh, okay, I love myself unconditionally, and they can make a change to that, instead of feeling isolated. And sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but we need to start younger.
Yeah, I think it's a great example. That I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, where does this desire to hurt another, like you clearly said as a child, like you experienced it being hurt by somebody else, but like I just feel like, a little innocent baby born, they're like a clean slate. So, it's
I
the adult.
disagree with that. But
Yeah, I
going
know you would. I know you would. But they appear to be a clean, innocent little
We're
slate.
here to shift impressions.
I know. But I mean, look at a baby,
that
like,
baby creates his or her reality
oh
just
gosh,
like the rest of us.
I guess,
I had a
but
lady, she came from, it was either Czechoslovakia, someplace in Europe like that. And she was sent to me by my friend. And she said, I'm possessed. That's why my friend sent her to me, right? And so I said, you're possessed? She said, yes. I said, when do you think that you got possessed? She told me I was 2. I said, you were 2 years old when you felt that you got possessed? Yes. And I told her, I said, I said, well, with me, you're going to have to work with the idea of why at 2 years old did you create to be possessed? Now, when I said it like that, see, I asked that woman, I said, do you understand creation and reality? Oh, yes, Greta, I understand that. I understand that. And then when I told her, we're going to have to look at why at 2 years old would you create to be possessed, she went off on me. Started screaming and hollering, telling me that I didn't know what I was talking about or what I was doing and so forth. And I told her, I said, that is quite all right. Because I was very calm with her. I said, I am not the person for you to work with. That's exactly what I told her. I said, I'm not. Yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not the person to work with you. It wasn't the idea of removing the entity, because you can remove an entity in 5-10 minutes and it's over, but it was the idea that she couldn't understand. She didn't want to reach the point of understanding that she could possibly do that. See, that was it. So if you can't understand that, what's going to happen? Sure, I'm going to get rid of the entity and you're going to get another one, because they're there to teach you a lesson. You're calling that experience to yourself. And until you understand why you are calling that experience to yourself, many times you'll go into a loop and you'll be doing the same thing over and over and over again. Needless to say,
welcome to the club, the Loop Club.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shoot, I
Yeah.
found one loop. I think I shared it on the program that was 62 years old. Took 62 years before I realized I was in the doggone loop.
But at least you're open to the idea that, that
We're creating the loop.
Yes, absolutely. And got
We're
tired of
creating
it.
it. Right.
Finally got tired of
must
it.
have learned the lesson, ready to learn the lesson and move on to a different lesson.
Yes, yes.
No, I mean, but that is the part of this that I think is the most empowering, right? I mean, if you can really take it in that like you're creating it, like really it's not out there. It's really from here. You don't need a healer. You don't need an exorcism, you know. Or I don't know, maybe you do. Like, even if you understand, oh, I created to be possessed when I was 2 because I wanted to try and divert my attention because of some such thing. Okay, I got it. I don't know. Will it just go away, or can you still maybe ask for someone with more professional experience to help you get it going?
Depends on the person.
Mhm.
It depends. It really depends on the person.
Yeah, I guess it's like how, that's like a couple step belief right there. First you have to unseat the belief that, oh, it just happened, right? And if you can kind of like take that in, like, okay, no, it didn't just happen, I made it. But then I guess the second level of belief is, oh, but I need someone to help me exercise it. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Take it out.
They used to call them. Well, they still do. Some people call them exorcisms.
Right.
When I was trained, it was called, when I was trained by Dr. Irene Hickman, she called it depossession work.
Okay, so I guess that, like, the next belief is like, I thought, oh, I need someone to help me get rid of this. I created it, but I need help, right? It's all just about sort of layered beliefs,
Right,
right?
right. But
Well,
but sometimes you don't even know that you've got one.
Mm,
That's the other
mhm.
thing. You do not know that you are going through that experience when you're in it.
But
So in
how, but
that case, you would, at the unconscious level, you're going to recognize that. But at the conscious level, you're not going to recognize because you think you're just going on with life.
mm,
that seems
well,
like another whole podcast.
It is. It is
So,
definitely.
and we have
Definitely.
Jacob's been sending us messages that we're at the halfway mark,
Okay.
listeners, ladies, which means that we want to take a little break and get ready for the realm who joins us in the second part of the podcast. So stay
Yes,
tuned and we will be right back. We're on Transformation Talk Radio. We are shifting impressions, conversations with the realm of beings. Thanks for listening.
welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We have reached the point in the podcast where the realm of beings gets to share their wisdom directly with us. So, realm, are you with us?
Yes, we are here.
Great. So, I know you've been here earlier, but I will just repeat the quotation we've been talking about today. We are one with each other. Therefore, let us abandon the desire to hurt each other and let us follow the path of harmony of the light. What do you have to share with us today?
Do we have 2 podcasts for this?
No, just about 22 minutes.
2 minutes.
22.
22 minutes to describe something that is, oneness. We're going to start there. We've often said that it's difficult to understand oneness as a human being. There's no one here that fully understands oneness. But in order for you to understand this quote and the impact of this quote, we'll have to go into the small parts of oneness. Now, you've heard us say, and you've heard Gretta say, that everybody has blinders on. When you have the blinders, they're there for a purpose. Because as being a human being, it would be very difficult for you to be exposed or to deal with all of existence simultaneously. Because remember, there is no past. There is no future. There is only the now. And everything is happening at the same time. That's why you have the blinders, so that you can stay present. It'd be too much for you to deal with everything happening at the same time. Now, to help you further understand this, I'm going to use expressions that you use in trying to determine what existence is. So as humanoids, you've created the concept of dimensions. And you say that right now, in this present nowness, you're in the third dimension. Then there's work in the fourth dimension. And then people are saying you're writing in books, you're on videos, you're making speeches about we are moving to the fifth dimension. I even heard once that some people will be going to the fifth dimension and some people will not be going to the fifth dimension. They're going to stay here. That is so funny. Because what people don't realize is that they're dealing and creating right then and there in that thought. They're creating and supporting separation. Because some people, you don't equal up, and this is the reason, you don't equal up to going up to the fifth dimension with the rest of us. So you've got to stay in the third dimension. You can't come. You see. That's some of you out there in the listening audience, you know you believe that, you know you've read it, you know you've heard it. And I say to you, and the collective of the realm of beings, we say to you that that is support of separation. And that is a lesson for you to learn, that there is no separation. There is only oneness ever. Now, talking about your dimensions, they have separated, meaning there are people, humans, that have created the concept of dimensions. And then they say that there are, in one dimension, there are 300 subplanes in that dimension. And then each subplane has approximately 300 levels. Now let's just start with that. One dimension, you subdivided it. It's not subdivided it, but there's extensions of it that are called subplanes. And then you extend the subplanes to create 300 levels per subplane. Now, since you've created that, we're going to use it by saying to you, you are on all of those. You're in the dimension. You're in the 300 subplanes. And you're in the 300 levels per subplane at one time simultaneously. But we say to you, the idea of dimensions and subplanes and planes is very limiting. So you're seeing yourselves as limited beings. And you're seeing yourselves inside blinders, so you can't see yourselves everywhere where you exist. And there are even aspects of yourself you don't recognize. Each one of you is an infinite being. We want to get that idea across. You are an infinite being that exists in numerous places that you can't even begin to imagine. But you are there nonetheless. It's like you don't have to believe that you create your own reality. You don't have to believe that. You can think it's hogwash if you want to. It doesn't matter, because that's how it is. It goes on and on and on without you consciously recognizing that. So you are in many, many, many places, but you think you're only in one. You think that you're here only in one little space. Now, showing you or talking about the expansiveness of humans, let's now talk about oneness. When you understand oneness, you understand that there is no separation of any kind. No separation economically, no separation physically, there's no separation. It's all illusion to begin with. To belong to this political party, to belong to that political party, supports separation. To see a Native American as separate from you. I'm not that Native American. That Native American is not me. Yet, that Native American is you. And you are the Native American. If a monarch butterfly flies past you, you'll say, how beautiful. Recognition of its beauty is recognition of your own beauty. Because you are one with that butterfly, and that butterfly is one with you. Now, how can that be? It can be because there's only one energy, and all is energy, and the energy is the force. Now, if you get into that quote. Let's go deeper into that quote where it says something about hurting other people.
Abandon the desire to hurt each other.
Right. So let's look at hurt. What you don't realize because you have blinders on and you stay within your little realm that you've created for yourselves and you think that's it. You don't realize that if you are carrying hate inside of you, you are everyone, everything in existence is carrying that hate. If you are carrying judgment, that person is a horrible person. You're not only talking about yourself, but you're talking about everything that is in existence. You see, because you're all one. You slap somebody in the face out of anger, you have slapped everything in existence because we are all one. Abandon hurt? Yes. Everything in existence feels the hurt because we're all connected by energy. We could be a totally different species. When we take the blinders off, we are all one and feel everything. We're not separate from each other. You just think that way. That's why we encourage you to move in love of self so that you are avoiding or just getting rid of the concept of let me hurt you. Let me get revenge on you. Let me put a curse on you and curse your whole family for years to come. When you do that, you've done that with all of us. Because you're all one. You are one with me, even though I'm a different species. And the collective with which I walk. You see how I made myself humanoid? Did you like that? Did you like that? Yeah.
Yes. Walking realm.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you touch on the last part of the quotation, follow the path of harmony of the light?
There are
You
so
wrote it.
many paths. So many paths. We put in that quote, follow the path of the harmony of the light, because we understand that people judge and see good or bad. So that's why it was put there, so that you would get an idea of the light being of goodness, because that's what you equate it with. You equate it in your humanoid experience as being a wonderful thing. And if it was, see, you can have harmony in the light, you can have harmony in the darkness, but the harmony and the darkness and the harmony and the light are all one. Ponder that. And the harmony in the dark and the harmony in the light, both are the force. Because it created harmony of the light, harmony of the dark and harmony. If you look at a matrix of harmony, it has so many things in there that you can be harmonic with. You know, what do they call that? Harmonic dissonance. That's still harmony. Still harmony. It's to decide what you want to distinguish is what is loving myself. What is loving my divinity that is within me and is me?
In harmony with.
Absolutely. Just as you are choosing your realities that you want to experience. You see? Some people want to experience being homeless. Some people do not. Some people who do not wish to experience homelessness look down on the people who decided to experience homelessness. They don't realize that they're the same. Only thing is that they decided that that was something they wanted to experience. It's as simple as that.
Realm, before we wrap up this podcast, what can we do to harmonize with the oneness instead of the separation? Love yourself.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. That is the path to understanding the oneness with existence, which is the force. That is the path. That is the path. Understanding I love and appreciate the divinity, the divineness. That's me. See that first. Oneness in yourself. Some of you practice separation within yourselves. And how do you do that? You do that by criticizing yourselves. You do that by feeling guilty about something that you think you did that you really didn't do. You see, practice removing yourselves from the idea of separation. Practice being the force.
Thank you, Realm, for sharing your wisdom with us once again. Thank you, Gretta, Yvonne, Transformation Talk Radio, Jacob, and most of all, listeners. If you found our podcast today helpful, I just request one other time, if you share, like with someone you also think may find the content valuable, we would appreciate it. So, listeners, thank you for being here today. This wraps up another episode of Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Thank you, Realm. Until we create each other again. Be well.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.